Was good. All right. So, in one of my last videos, I was talking about culture, okay? And I was talking about how it's actually pretty cool for you to be able to go around and talk to people about your culture. Like, you're able to relate more and things like that. And it just opens up a whole nother dimension to your personality, even if the person you're talking to is not necessarily of your culture. And they can also like relate to you and like maybe disagree with you, and like it's kind of cool because their side of the perspective is like completely different, and it's like when they're actually talking about their experience, that's when it hits you that like the experiences are like really different, and it's cool. So I just wanted to talk about another side of that, which is a loneliness aspect of it, okay? And what do I mean? Like, how do you like? You might be asking, like, Shay, how do you think that being a part of your culture will like will negate a great level of loneliness that one might experience? And well, that's because of a few reasons, okay? So now that I've come to Pakistan, I've been spending a lot more time with like my whole family, so like my grandmas, my uncles, and uh, aunties, and all the cousins and everything. It's like a whole house party, and maybe it's just like a cultural thing that in our culture, families like to stick together and stuff like that in the same households. And you might think, well, oh, that's weird, your uncles haven't like moved out or whatever. It's like, no, they're just like, we just like sticking together because, and now I kind of understand why. And maybe this is specific to our culture, but I think what I'm about to say applies to like culture just in general, okay? And it'll make a lot more sense when I start talking about it. So basically, in our culture, we stick together and stuff like that. And what I've noticed back in the US is it's like almost the complete opposite, right? You're kind of like kicked out of the house at 18 or 20. And I just think that's kind of like, I don't know, stupid to some degree and not stupid to some degree, okay? Because you might say, like, okay, you need to be kicked out of the house so that you can then learn to grow up and grow out of your shell. And, you have to experience the pain and have those experiences to really grow. So, like, having responsibilities, taking care of a house, like maybe a pet, going to school, things like that. So, bearing the burden of responsibility, that's like a huge reason as to why you'd want to get kicked out. But at the same time, you can still learn to do that in a manner that is very smart, I think, which is living at your house, because you might not necessarily be, not all of us are like financially free, especially at our age, like when we're going through college and stuff. So like, I just think it's a better decision just to stay at home. And one might say, well, you don't get to, bear the burden of responsibility. So like that wouldn't really help you grow up and stuff like that. And yeah, I guess that's true. But at the same time, it's like you're making a financially smart decision that'll really help you in the long run and in the future. And don't worry, life will help you grow up if you let it, if you learn from the mistakes and you slowly ease into it. You don't want to get kicked into it immediately. But what happens as a result of that is like a lot of us tend to actually fall into like this depressive, I don't want to use depression because it's like, I don't know, a very strong word, but like periods of sadness and things like that, and periods of loneliness, like utter loneliness. And we always diagnose the problem as like, I need a significant other. Like I need a girlfriend. I need bitches, bro. Like, or or like I need a guy in my life or whatever. Like the other side is. But I think sometimes it's just a lack of having a friend group or a circle that is actually there for you, that you relate to. And that's how the culture thing comes in. It's like it it kind of arises this whole other aspect of your personality. Like I have friends who are also Pakistani, right? And it just made me better friends with them. And it's like, how does that make one person, like, if you really think about it, right, how does that make someone a better friend? Like, they're just Pakistani. Like, that doesn't make really any sense, right? But it's just the fact that it introduces so many relatable things that you could connect to and like really like try to understand the person in front of you. And it becomes easier to understand the person in front of you to some degree, I think, because you relate to them as much as you do, and you can make a lot of strong friendships and bonds that way. And that way, I'm not saying you completely, cure loneliness and stuff like that, but it definitely solves a big portion of it, in my opinion. because that's how it was for me in university, bro. Like, I, for most of high school, for most of middle school, for most of like, so far in college, I've actually been like, I could get good grades all I want. I could get, I could be in the best health of my life, like best shape, best health, which I'm pretty much am for like, I'm, I would say I'm like very ranked very high in terms of like most men. And you'll understand why I'm saying that. I'm not trying to like humbly boast or whatever, but like I'm in very good physical condition. The issue then becomes is like you start to doubt yourself. You're like, I've done all this, but like the way I feel is just still shitty. Like, why? What is this? And you still feel lonely and things like that. And it's like you don't have a, you went too hard on the hustle culture thing, and you really don't have anyone around you. Like, I'm not saying have a shit ton of friends. I'm just saying like have a small amount of friends who are actually doing you some good, right? Like a great deal of good, because you'll have those small amount of people that are very hard to find. They're especially hard to find. Like I can count all those people on my fingers that I've found that have actually provided me some sort of value and given me a sense of like belonging and no loneliness in my life, which is like kind of insane to me when it comes to like friendships over in the US. And it's hard, man. It gets tough because like, you only know people from like you only know, yeah, damn, I'm stuttering. English is hard, bro. You only really like know the most basic level like of like a person. I don't know why English is so hard right now, but basically, right, like most people, they have friends because they drink with them. Like it's surface level shit, and that's like a bad habit on top of it. But some people will have like surface level friendships, and you can't really be serious and be funny with them. You can't really watch this movie and then go do something to improve yourself. You can't really do that. It just feels dimensionless. Like this is what I call people that have no dimension to them, or in other words, a more simpler layman's term would be basic, okay? And I don't say that as an insult. I think people have way more to them than they give on, but it's because they keep suppressing their culture, things like that, because they think it's either uncool, doesn't add to their status, or like, I don't care what the reasons are, bro, but I genuinely think that makes you cooler. I genuinely think, and maybe that's just me and that's fine, but take it how you want, but I just think that just adds a whole another dimension to a person, and you can connect to people easier, and therefore you won't be as lonely. Like, for example, here, I'm just not as lonely. Like, I have my cousins, and, you could argue maybe that, like, oh, you get along with your family. Oh, in your culture, your family sticks together. Oh, this, that. And fine. Like, I'm not going to argue against that, but I would say that's also a very shallow view of looking at it. I just, you can't, there's so much to pick apart there that it's kind of hard to say, but I genuinely think that because these people are also part of the culture, they understand me better. It's also just easier to talk to them. You don't like, I just don't feel nervous around anybody. Doesn't matter who it is talking to them. I just don't feel nervous. I can just talk to them because I know they're like just a part of my culture, and it's just a lot easier to talk to them. And especially my cousin, like he knows like he's very cultured in, the Sidemen. We grew up with the Sidemen, the YouTubers and things like that. We grew up with, memes from American culture, and he also grew up here. So it's like so easy to talk to these people, and you could be sad one moment, happy the next, and like making jokes the next. It's just like, it's insane how many conversations and topics you can come up with. And I frankly think that's cool, and I think it can really negate a huge portion of your loneliness. Like, I really do think so. And the reason I make some of these videos so long and just regurgitate some of the same information but in different ways is because, like, I'm trying to get across the point in several different ways that several different people are going to understand in several different ways, So that's just how it's going to be. So, but anyway, I digress. That was a whole different point. Yeah, bro. Like, try to take part in your culture more. and try to see if there's people, you know, that relate to you in that manner, and you'll find, I think you'll find like really really great friendships going for you there. I know I have, and those are the ones that have lasted me the longest. The more dimensions I was able to peel up within a person and like get to know about a person, the more the longer the relationship with that person lasted, you know. So yeah, culture's cool, bro. Like, yeah, if you're feeling a lot lonely, and I know a lot of you won't hear that on a lot of the part of the internet. You'll always hear like, oh, you know, you just don't got a girl in your life, or like, oh, you're lonely because of this, or you don't do these habits. But it's like, bro, sometimes it's just like you gotta learn to be more, I guess, you, and not kind of be afraid to be you, in more of a cultural sense, and things along that nature, and afraid to be weird and things like that, because like that's what's going to really polarize you to the kind of people you want to be around. So yeah, just thought I'd let you know. You probably already knew this, more of a reminder, right? But I thought I'd say it anyway, just to reinforce something, you know, beautiful that could possibly happen. So that's all I got for you. Peace. Take it easy.